What if I told you that one sentence, just one, delivered at the right moment in the right way, could make a woman remember you for years? Not because it was smooth, not because it was rehearsed or clever or carefully designed to impress, but because it made her feel something she almost never feels in any interaction with any man. The feeling of being truly, specifically, genuinely seen. Not her appearance, not the surface of who she presents to the world, but something real and deep about who she actually is. That feeling is rare, and the man who creates it doesn't just get her attention for a moment. He gets a permanent space in her memory, because people forget what you say. They forget the details of conversations, but they never forget how you made them feel. And that truth is exactly what most men miss entirely when they think about what actually creates lasting attraction. Most men believe attraction comes down to looks, money, status, or being in the right place at the right time. And while those things can create initial notice, none of them create the kind of lasting impression we're talking about. What creates that is something far more accessible and far more powerful. It is the specific way you make a woman feel about herself when she is around you. And the primary tool you have for creating that feeling is something most men use carelessly, weakly, or not at all: your words. Specifically, the kind of compliment that goes beyond what she can see in a mirror. Today, I'm going to walk you through 8 of them. Not lines to memorize and deploy, but deep psychological observations that, when they come from a place of genuine attention, change everything about how she experiences you. The first one is something almost every man overlooks, and that makes it one of the most powerful things you can say when you use it correctly. It is this: that fragrance you're wearing is addictive. Now I know what you're thinking. A compliment about perfume sounds simple, almost too simple to matter. But here's the psychology underneath it that most men never consider. Scent is the sense most directly connected to memory and emotion in the human brain. It bypasses rational thought entirely. It goes straight to the parts of the mind that store emotional experiences, specific moments, feelings that get associated with particular people and places. When you notice a woman's fragrance and you say so, you are communicating something that goes far deeper than the words themselves. You are saying your presence stays with me even after you're gone. That idea that she has already left an impression that lingers beyond the moment is profoundly attractive. Because most compliments are about right now. This one is about after, and that distinction is felt immediately. But here is the critical element. This only works when it is said with genuine, calm confidence. Not loudly, not desperately. With the quiet certainty of a man who notices details because he is actually present, not because he is trying to impress. That quality of grounded presence is what makes the words carry weight. Without it, the same words are just another line. The second compliment goes beyond physical appearance entirely and speaks to something a woman carries that most men never acknowledge. It sounds like this: your smile genuinely brightens a room. And I want to be clear about what this is actually saying, because the depth of it is easy to miss on the surface. You are not complimenting her teeth. You are not complimenting her lips or her face. You are recognizing her presence. You are telling her that her energy, the specific quality of who she is when she walks into a space, has a real and visible effect on the people and the atmosphere around her. That is a completely different category of recognition. Think about what most women hear from men. Comments about how they look, observations about their appearance. And after a while, those comments blend into background noise because they are entirely about surface. But when someone says your smile changes the energy of a room, they are acknowledging something much harder to see and much more meaningful to receive. They are acknowledging her impact, her power, the fact that her presence actually matters in the spaces she occupies. Women do not hear that often. And when they do, from a man who says it without needing anything back from it, it stays. The third compliment is one that touches something most people in today's world are quietly desperate to have acknowledged. It is this: I love how real you are. You just are who you are without trying to be anything else. We live in a world saturated with performance, with carefully curated versions of people designed to receive approval. Social media, workplaces, social situations, almost every environment encourages people to edit themselves, to present the version that will be best received rather than the version that is most true. Authenticity, actual unfiltered self-expression, is one of the most genuinely courageous things a person can practice in that environment. And when you acknowledge it, when you specifically name it in someone, you are validating one of their deepest human needs. The need to be accepted for who they actually are rather than who they perform being. Women hear about their appearance constantly. They hear about how they dress, how they carry themselves, how they come across. But very few people look directly at the soul of someone and say, I see you, the real you, and that is exactly what I value. When a man does that, it creates a connection that cannot be manufactured by any other means. The fourth compliment operates on an intellectual level that most men never reach in their interactions with women. And that is exactly why it hits so differently when it lands. It sounds like this. The way you see the world is genuinely unique. You make me think differently. Most people in most conversations operate on the surface. They exchange information. They share opinions. But they rarely engage with the specific, personal, individual way another person's mind works. They rarely say, I am interested in your perspective specifically. Not just what you think, but how you think. When you tell a woman that her way of seeing the world changes how you see it, you are doing something extraordinary. You are elevating her from someone you find attractive to someone whose inner world genuinely interests you. And that shift from being desired to being genuinely intellectually valued is one that creates a quality of connection that physical attraction alone never produces. It tells her you are not just here for what she looks like. You are here because of who she is in a much deeper sense. And that is the kind of recognition that does not fade. The fifth compliment speaks to something that transcends personality and presence and reaches into the territory of genuine impact on the people around her. It is this: your energy is contagious. Being around you genuinely makes me want to be better. Now think about how different this is from every standard compliment a woman receives. You are not talking about how she looks. You are not even talking about how she makes you feel in a pleasant or comfortable way. You are saying that her presence raises your standard for yourself, that something about who she is activates something in you that wants to grow. That is one of the most powerful things you can say to a person, because it tells them their existence has real positive impact on the people around them. It tells them they are not just pleasant to be near. They are genuinely elevating. And in a world where most people feel invisible and replaceable, being told that your presence actually makes someone want to be more than they were before you arrived, that lands in a place that nothing else reaches. The sixth compliment is one that acknowledges character in a world that almost always rewards charm instead. It sounds like this: you're genuinely one of the most thoughtful people I've encountered. The way you care about others is rare, and it shows in everything you do. The reason this one is so powerful is in the word genuinely, and in the specificity of the observation. Most people receive compliments about their appearance, their intelligence, their humor. But very few people receive recognition for the quality of their heart, for the specific ways they show up for other people, for the detail and care and intention they bring to their relationships with the world around them. When you notice someone's thoughtfulness, the way they remember things, the way they check in, the way they make other people feel valued in small, consistent ways, and you name it specifically, you are speaking directly to their character. And character-level recognition is the deepest form of acknowledgement one person can offer another. Because it says, I see not just who you are in this moment, but who you are consistently when nobody is watching. And that is the person I respect. The seventh compliment acknowledges something that driven women almost never hear from men in the way they actually need to hear it. It goes like this: the way you pursue what matters to you is genuinely inspiring. Your sense of purpose sets you apart. Ambitious women operate in a world that frequently tells them to tone it down, to be less focused, to not be too much. The drive that defines them is often treated as intimidating or inconvenient rather than admired. When you look at that drive directly and call it inspiring, you are doing something that very few men do. You are saying, I am not threatened by your ambition. I am drawn to it. I respect the cost of it. I see what it takes to pursue something with that kind of focus, and I find it genuinely compelling. That recognition, coming from a man who is clearly secure enough in himself not to feel diminished by her ambition, creates an attraction that goes far beyond anything surface level, because it tells her she does not have to shrink around you, that the most driven part of her is welcome here. And that combination, freedom to be fully herself around someone who genuinely respects that version of her, is one of the rarest and most deeply attractive experiences a person can have. The eighth and final compliment is perhaps the most quietly powerful of all, because it acknowledges a quality that is genuinely rare and that almost nobody names directly. It sounds like this: you have this ability to make people feel genuinely comfortable and valued just by being present. That is not a small thing. That is a real gift. Emotional intelligence, the capacity to truly make other people feel seen and safe and heard, is one of the hardest things to develop and one of the most valuable things a person can carry. It cannot be performed convincingly. It either exists in someone or it does not. And when it does exist, it tends to go unacknowledged because the people who benefit from it often do not realize they are experiencing something unusual. They just feel better. They feel more relaxed. They feel like they matter. When you specifically name that quality in a woman, when you say, I have noticed how you make people feel, and I want you to know it is something worth recognizing, you are validating a part of her that most of the world simply takes for granted. And the impact of that acknowledgement goes extremely deep, because you are not just complimenting what she does. You are honoring what she gives. And that is an experience that stays with a person indefinitely. Now let me bring all of this together, because there is a single principle that runs through every one of these 8 compliments, and that principle is the real point of everything I've shared today. None of these work as lines. None of them work as techniques applied strategically to produce a desired reaction. The moment any of them become performance, they lose all their power completely, because women are extraordinarily sensitive to the difference between words that come from genuine observation and words that come from calculated intention. They feel that difference even when they cannot explain how they feel it. What makes every single one of these compliments powerful is the attention that has to precede them. The genuine, unhurried, present attention to who a woman actually is, beneath the surface, beneath the appearance, beneath the version she performs for the world. That kind of attention is itself the real gift. The words are just the way you let her know that you were paying it. A man who genuinely pays attention, who listens to understand rather than to respond, who notices the specific and personal rather than the obvious and generic, who makes a woman feel recognized at the level of her actual character rather than her surface presentation. That man does not need tricks or strategies or lines. He simply communicates from a place of real seeing. And when a woman encounters that, when she experiences the feeling of being truly known and truly valued by someone who was actually paying attention to who she is, she does not forget it. She carries it. She thinks about it later. She compares every other interaction to the standard it set. And the man who created that experience becomes someone she cannot stop thinking about. Not because he was the loudest or the most impressive or the most persistent, but because in a world full of men who look at women, he was the one who actually saw her. If this changed how you think about the way you communicate, let me know in the comments below. And subscribe if you haven't already, because every week we go deeper into the psychology of real connection, real attraction, and what it actually means to show up as someone genuinely worth knowing.